Hello and welcome to No Truth for You, the climate change episode. I am Jay Devono. Well, not really, but that's what we're going with. Like we're going with President Biden. Girl, please. Or, as Jill Biden might say, getting a breakfast taco at a bodega. Dr. Jill said that. The First Lady, she is racist, man. And dumb. And not a lady. Not like Michelle Obama, not a lady. Just like adultery. Which in D.C., I think they just call lunch. I wonder if Dr. Jill called it being on the down low when she cheated with President Joe, the pedo. Have we gone down low enough yet? Anyway, many are questioning the integrity of my information. Stolen election, COVID jabs are killers. Trans is a social contagion more deadly than the jabs. Climate change is worse. But I've done the research. I'm well read. I have all the books. I haven't read all the books, so I'm kind of well read. Which is kind of like saying you're kind of well hung because you have 6 copies of Photoshop when you only need 1 to put your face on Congressman Anthony Weiner's face. Remember that underwear model pic that he sent to the teenager? Remember that guy? Hillary's girlfriend, Huma, her ex. In defense of the Honorable Mr. Weiner, his would-be girlfriend was 15, but she looked 15 and a half. Bad Weiner things were found on Hunter Biden's laptop, the one that doesn't exist. Luckily, Hunter, the smartest guy Joe the big guy knows, is still free and clear. Thanks, sweet Lady Justice. But Weiner went to jail, which never happens to Democrat pedos, so there must have been really bad stuff there. And there are so many of those dirtbags. Where's Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs when you need them? Right, FBI lost them. Oh, they're in my other pantsuit. Or dumpster. Christopher Wray, you piece of... Anyway, more fun is to Photoshop the little CNN guy, former CNN guy, still little, I think, Brian Stelter, for your penis, or Disappointing Johnson, as I like to call mine, because Brian Stelter looks like a penis and Magic Johnson is a guy. I think he invented AIDS, and Magic Johnson sounds like a great porn name, and he lived up to it. NBA dudes, man. Whew. The point is, I tell the truth, so let's do some more truth-telling tonight. Climate change. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know if you've heard, but the Earth is on fire, and we're all going to die. Like Thursday. Wait. One more funny thing about Brian Stelter. He had a show called Reliable Sources on CNN. That's funny stuff. A nice use of irony. It should have been called Lying Liar Dude Who Looks Like a Penis. Or maybe a Weeble. You know those Weebles wobble and they don't fall down? This is more attention than he's gotten since he was at the World Economic Forum as an expert giving a talk in front of another audience of tens of people, like when he was on CNN. Anyway, he was talking about truth in media. Ha. Double ha. Okay, agreed. You bet. That's good. Let's get some of that. All right, that's really it for Brian Stelter, who looks and acts like a dick. Sorry. Wait, again, all right? Last time, I promise, but this one's about the trans thing. You know, some people are born gay. Yes, I know. Louis C.K. described it well. There's gay. I'm Charles wearing a bespoke, custom-tailored suit. Same thing, but bespoke sounds fancy. I'm fastidiously preparing dinner like a scene from, well, Suits. You know, that handsome gay fella, actor guy. I think he's gay. Of course he is. It's Hollywood. It's a rule. And there's gay like, hello, what's for breakfast? Semen? But it's unnatural. It goes against nature. Gay doesn't propagate the species. That's the biological imperative of living things. Make more living things. Gay is real, albeit unnatural. But trans is mental illness. Be occasionally gay, like Hollywood, fine. But chopping up your bod to fix your brain that you flooded with testosterone, estrogen, Lupron, that gentle little drug for castrating pedos, great use there, double shots for all, but now retermed as puberty blocker. See how these evil bastards roll? They're horrible. So confused children, young people, please don't. And please, please, please don't go to the school nurse with the purple hair or some idiot lib psychiatrist who is as corrupted as dumb, evil. For advice, they're the sickest. Hopefully you have a loving mom and dad to reassure you, guide you, and show you that there's a very statistically significant chance that the very real discomfort is just a normal part of growing up. Growing up is tough, but it's all going to be okay. I, for one, have never been comfortable in my own skin, especially now since it's stretching and sagging a bunch. And apparently I'll never be comfortable in my own face or behind it. I don't know. And also, by the way, those beautiful people, celebs, feigning fabulousness are Photoshop fiends and frauds and the most insecure among us. Anyway, have at it, gays. I don't care what the hell you do in bathhouses, houses of Congress, forest preserves, or in the limo on the way to your CNN, MSNBC shows talking to no one. Liberty, freedom, great. More of that. More. Just, hey, teacher and trannies, leave them kids alone. But please know, when they're lying to you, which is always for whatever destructive agenda is the bull du jour, like everybody's gay and everybody else is a bigoted, homophobe, transphobe white guy plotting to remote control women's vaginas, or men's, I guess. Gay is fine, who cares? But it's an aberration in nature, and trans is a mental illness weaponized as a social contagion, and that's bad. It's way worse. Typically among the atypical, less than 2% of the population, until they brainwash and confuse already confused kids and idiot adults, by the way. Lesbians and trans and those on the fence, so to speak, are generally unattractive outcasts, needing attention and always unsatisfied. Other than maybe Ellen or Rosie O'Donnell, who were sweet when they were little boys or boyish or whatever, but then turned very, very sour. Have you ever seen a smiling lesbian? Me neither. And not the fake OnlyFans ones. They don't count. That's acting. It's bad acting, but it's acting. They're rare, like a spotted owl in a flannel shirt, or more like a white rhino in a bigger flannel shirt. At least the lesbians, they tend to be a little bit husky. Anyway, it's unnatural because it takes male and female to make the thing work. But only one should be in a flannel. Speaking of making things work, my girl, the best girl ever, asked me, if I haven't seen her for like 3 hours or whatever, told you she's the best, if I ever take matters into my own hands. But no, I'm old. I just turned 30. It's a waste of resources, which are dwindling. It's hard enough. Sometimes. It's difficult. Anyway, the point is, I'm not Weinsteining into a plant, like a house plant, with leaves and stuff, and then sprinkled with some other stuff, like he did. That's just wasteful. So see, I believe in conservation of resources to be a good steward of the earth, which is a liberal thing, which of course is a lie. It used to be a conservative thing, conserving things, but it's all bull and a story for another show. Except the climate change connection scam, that's today. And hopefully we'll start talking about the subject of today's show at some point. But not yet. So every Hollywood starlet went through him, Weinstein, or he went through them, which is why all actresses are so crazy, and that's horrible. Horrible. But I heard that Brad Pitt had a word with Harvey when he tried that loofah move on Brad's then girlfriend. Who's that beyond insufferable scented vagina? Gwyneth Paltrow. But how cool is Brad Pitt? And I believe that story. Why? Because he's so good looking, which makes it true. Yeah, that works. You know what? Brad Pitt is evidence of God. Tall, handsome, protects his girl from Hollywood perv, which again is all of them. Atheists, I give you... No, it should be God giving you. You want proof? It sounds like Klaus Schwab again. All right, I'm trying to do Charlton Heston. Okay, right, proof. Non-believers, you don't need faith, Dead Sea Scrolls, or my son with the great hair who was born in Wakanda. Coming back for the Easter egg hunt, I give you Brad Pitt. See? So there is a God. Okay, right, climate change. So all we need is $100 trillion for EVs and solar panels and windmills and rides on Kamala's electric short bus. $100 trillion to save the world from a fake thing. $100 trillion. You heard that right? But you heard that wrong, and guess why? Because they lie about everything. And also, Brian Stelter has an uncanny resemblance to Anthony Weiner's Magic Johnson. So, some definitive books on important subjects like this, having little to do with penises, hopefully, include words from renowned medical institution which started the very lucrative, by the way, transgender, which is not scientific reality, sex reassignment, gender switcheroo, brain scrambling fad with Dr. Money. Seriously, Money, the pedo psychiatrist from Johns Hopkins. Here's their paper. Why we're not doing trans surgeries anymore? Because everybody is killing themselves after we cut off their... Right, okay, last penis thing, probably more to the point. There's Dr. Jerome Corsi's The Truth About Energy, Global Warming, and Climate Change. He's an astonishingly smart academic doctor, like Dr. Jill. And for COVID fun, Pandemia by Alex Berenson, and even The Real Anthony Fauci by Robert Kennedy Jr., who, despite getting the Fauci stuff right, might be a wee bit crazy, particularly about climate change. The point is, inbreeding is bad. Just don't do it. Just don't marry your cousin. Even if she's got most of her teeth, her ankles look real sexy through that slit in her burqa. It's super bad for the gene pool. It's peeing in the gene pool, or skinny dipping in the gene pool with Michael Moore. It's gross. And it retards development, like KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre, whose parents must be brother and sister, and Kamala, whose parents must be conjoined twins. So listen up, British royalty. Kennedys, Ashkenazi Jews. It's not just Muslims, although they're way better at it, inbreeding, which is to say, worse. Stop cousin humping. Well, that's crass. Just don't marry your kin, everybody, all right? Speaking of retarded, did you see the Yay Palestine protester kids wearing their silly mask kafir costumes to hide from, I guess, prosecution, I suppose? Of course. And more, of course, from reason and accountability, but as importantly, libs love playing dress up. And not just the kids. COVID, Black Lives Matter to large white women, climate change, whatever, any chance to hit the costume closet, and they're in. Their children playing dress up, wearing 3 masks in their EV, Starbucks in one hand, New York Times where a child's car seat should be, or the car seat has a dog strapped in it on its way to getting matching haircuts with the masktard driving the sled. Masktard, that's a terrible word. Also, hashtag Stand With Ukraine stamped on the forehead, BLM sign in the yard. It's all performative. It's dumb. It's like seeing your kids' really dumb 4th grade play, only these are the really dumb kids, adult size, really dumb kids. Do you seriously think your tweet, totally owning Elon Musk about patriarchy and capitalism, you guys, sent to tens of followers around the world meant anything to anyone in the world? Posers playing dress up continues with I'm vaxxed to the max stickers celebrating COVID jabs from ass to toe, like a junkie trying to find a good vein, which of course with 8 jabs you no longer have. And really, do you think that monogrammed mask stopped the dreaded COVID any more than it stopped the wonderful smell of pizza getting through your face holes? The mask, like your EV and everything else, was a childish talisman, badge of honor, showing fealty to the team. It's playing dress up, but it's deeper than that, too. It's the weak and the powerless needing to feel some control over the godless, purposeless, childless, friendless world they've created. The faux human connections are leaving them empty and alone, like a CNN host on prom night. Today, it leaves them desperately grasping at the liberal causes du jour, struggling to latch on to anything to secure against the endless abyss of emptiness as they fall through portals of discontent, iPhones, social media, shopping at Trader Joe's, but not knowing why the BLM sign in the front yard and the EV in the driveway didn't save the world or make them cool. They're desperate to find meaning to be on the winning team. Wow, that's heavy stuff. And what the hell does that have to do with the weather? A lot, actually, which is, it's a tragedy, and it's also a comedy, like Whoopi Goldberg looking like reincarnated Buddha in a muumuu contemplating a box of donuts, or Kamala contemplating the geopolitical significance of, in her heady words, so Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine, so basically that's wrong. And our inspiring Madame Veep made that insightful statement without being even a little bit drunk. Cheers, Kemi, but still maintaining her trademark gargantuan levels of stupid. Anyway, tonight's show is brought to you by Pfizer. Not really. It's about climate change, so it's brought to you by Bolt. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome to No Truth for You, episode 4, Climate Change. If you believe climate change is an existential threat that will end life on Earth in 12 years, you're an idiot. If you don't see it's the most obvious grifter scam in the history of tyranny, you're a liberal. Climate change. It used to be fun, like,
I'm Mr. Green Christmas, I'm Mr. Sun, I'm Mr. Heat Blister, I'm Mr. 101.
Heat miser, and then...
I'm Mr. Icicle, I'm Mr. 10 Below.
Cold miser. And then, I don't know.
Out of here! Look behind my tunnel! It's a twister!
I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that.
Both?
How dare you?
I know, Greta. That's all wrong. Greta Thunberg, a child, a spectrum child, but she's just as learned and sciencey and annoying as those other bullshit artists of the World Economic Forum and the other ones that libs listen to. Unbelievable. Like taking career advice from P. Diddy. You're gonna get too hot, too cold, whatever. We're all going to die.
Choose and perish. Choose the form of the destructor.
I get it. Oh, very cute. Whatever we think of. If we think of J. Edgar Hoover will appear and destroy us, okay? So empty your heads.
Climate alarmists, sometimes hilariously known as scientists, who've been wrong every time since the 70s, since the 1870s, if you count the seminal paper by Swedish scientist Svante Arrhenius or something like that, who first predicted that changes in atmospheric carbon dioxide levels could substantially alter the surface temperature through the greenhouse effect. His name was Svante, like idiot Svante, but just the idiot part. But some clever tyrants went with it anyway and came up with the Goldilocks just right bowl of bull that we now have called climate change. Lie to me once, shame on you. Lie to me more than Fauci under oath, chatting with Rand Paul about his stock portfolio, Dr. Pfizer's, Fauci's, whatever. Shut up is the point. And then you want to make me pay the $100 trillion tab in the immortal words as Tom Cruise as Harvey Weinstein.
Go fuck yourself.
Climate change, like all liberal fads, riling up crazy liberal idiots to be inspired to glue their faces to the asphalt in protest of being, I don't know, really dumb.
My face was totally glued.
I guess, is grift and corruption served by lies and I don't know, more lies. Remember that Goebbels thing? Goebbels. Tell a lie big enough and often enough, and people will glue their empty skulls to the street. Something like that. And unsurprisingly, but covertly, because they're sneaky and awful people, eugenics, that is reducing the world population by 7 billion or so. Again, save a few twinks and tweens for the grand reopening of Epstein Island, is in the climate change mix too. Eugenics mass murder by weaponizing the weather. Funny stuff, globalist scumbags. Oh, speaking of which, in the news, Klaus Schwab has stepped down as spokesmodel head, and it's quite a head. Of the Fourth Reich. Or WEF, or whatever, unelected, self-appointed king of the world, which sucks because I've nailed the Hitler meets Dr. Evil accent, Klaus Schwab. But don't worry, wherever he's going, it ain't away. They're sneaky and relentless and show up like herpes on a honeymoon. Or Obama for a third term, same thing. It's probably more like if Darth Vader and Obi-Wan were playing role reversal cosplay. If you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you could possibly imagine.
I don't know. I can imagine quite a bit.
And also, Klaus Schwab will probably end up for a cameo as Dr. Evil on The Bachelor, Epstein Island. Eddie, that's a good idea for a show. We should do that one. So imagine yourself as a useless, imbecilic, yet audacious, power-mad grifter tyrant.
An embarrassment to the time and people of this country.
Foaming at the mouth, busting out of your pantsuit.
That guy in a little coat.
With excitement, ready to cash in on a thing even scarier than COVID. And it's big. In fact, it's everywhere. And, well, at least it's a teeny part of everywhere. And it's scary. And it's so big and scary and everywhere that nobody will notice that it's patently ridiculous to claim that it has an impact if it's even happening at all. It's so small and everywhere that maybe nobody will notice demanding getting rid of the stuff carbon-based life forms for the Dr. Jills and Ivy League, CNN, MSNBC idiot lesbians like Rachel Maddow or Anderson Cooper.
That is just factually incorrect.
See, not a penis reference in sight.
Why is that, do you think?
This man has no dick.
Why does he rat say that?
Anyway, carbon-based life forms, that is people and plants, and even that round thing they live on, need CO2 stuff to live. Now picture someone gasping for air while squeezing into their size 40 pantsuit, a moment of grifter tyrant brilliance. How about a global tax on every breath you take for everything on Earth, including the herds of gassy cows on the ranch and also on The View? Then call a meeting of fellow travelers at the intersection of irony, hypocrisy, and stupid, the same place you'll find Leo DiCaprio's private jet parked at a climate summit in the Alps with diesel generators firing up to de-ice wind turbines, not quite powerful enough to run the ice machine in the Grand Ballroom, which is another name for Leo's baller suite. Get it? Right? Baller. It's the Magic Johnson thing. Diesel generators melting the ice on the wind turbines. That's hilarious. Told you this is funny. Anyway, although at least when frozen, the windmills aren't killing bald eagles by the score. And also, by the way, what a score it is. The climate change scam. And probably whatever supermodel Leo is wooing. That's a thing, right? Climate change, the biggest score in the history of tyranny. Right. So do you feel a little bit scared or a lot bit guilty because it's hot in the summer sometimes? Do you think your SUV with the BLM bumper sticker is to blame? Do you disregard times when the winter gets cold sometimes from your emotional, non-critical thinking? Have you considered geological time, measuring by billions of years? How about the sun? Do you consider that giant nuclear furnace so large it can fit 1 million Earths in its fiery belly?
That's hot.
That's even more than Al Gore. It's so large that its gravitational force holds the solar system together like Whoopi's mass keeps the dessert table at the View from leaving her unstuffed. Gross. Is it possible that the sun might have something to do with the temperature? It's a nuclear furnace that's as big as the sun. Just like it's been doing with this life-giving general largeness and sunspot flares for a few billion years or so.
Sun God will have his vengeance.
What's he waiting for?
So maybe it's worth considering in the examination of the greatest, or at least the latest, existential threat to humanity, the dreaded, scary, invisible monster, climate change, right? As climate change enthusiasts are screaming at the Earth is heating up because of anthropogenic abuse, for those of you in Rio Linda, that means people did it. So people are causing increases in carbon dioxide, CO2, the previously underappreciated greenhouse gas that humans and plants feed each other for life, to stratospheric, atmospheric proportions. By the way, they used to say the Earth was cooling, freezing too, but no need to quibble about a few billion years in geologic time when the Earth is on fire. Or not. So lately, the climate change deranged demand reducing CO2 to zero because AOC said that we'll all be dead in 12 years if we don't. And she's a bartender, and she used to be pretty, so we'd better listen. Also, the Brad Pitt rule doesn't apply here. He's still gorgeous.
Apollo is master of the sun.
I know more about the gods than your priests.
And so to save the world, we need to pile up all the gas cars on the fake Pacific island of plastic and trash and push it further out to sea so polar bears can have a place to play when the ice caps melt, I think. Something like that. Despite the fact that facts are a thing sometimes, ice caps have never been larger and thicker, also like Al Gore.
That's what's boiling the oceans.
Then we must mandate buying Teslas or electric bus rides if you're 100K short, and level a couple countries worth of prime earth-saving real estate to make way for wind farms which kill all the stuff that lived there before the land was raised or swam nearby before the massive concrete posts were mounted on the ocean floor and electrified. Like a Supreme Court justice, I'm not a marine biologist or a diversity hire, whatever, but what could possibly go wrong? Nothing. Also, because the Earth is melting, we need to shut down oil production and blow up coal plants in the U.S. before ordering solar panels from China, where they appreciate coal plants, especially the ones without environmental safeguards. China also likes EV battery elements, mining operations, the ones that are cool with child slavery and regular slavery. And of course, a few other facts were banned from the discussion. There have been 6 ice ages, each having more CO2 in the atmosphere than Earth has now, a lot more. From 20% with each ice age to currently a measly 0.004%. Cutting that current paltry carbon dioxide figure in half would cause all plant life on Earth to die.
All right, that's bad. Okay. All right, important safety tip.
The good news for those hell-bent on saving the Earth, cutting the zero carbon emissions as loony libs want, would eliminate the existential threat because there would be no life left in existence. A win-win if you're a liberal and you remove logic from the equation, which of course they do. Earth has been in the Pleistocene ice age for 200 million years, with 40 ice ages coming and going, including the underappreciated and sadly forgotten Little Ice Age, maybe the Brian Stelter. That wrapped up around 1814, the start of the modern warming period. Earth's temperature has changed exactly 1 degree Celsius in the last 200 million years. That's 1 degree, which isn't a lot.
This is all wrong.
The warmer times are greener times, by the way, so more would be gooder. Earth is currently in an interglacial age, which began a mere 34 million years ago, across which temperatures have been 5 degrees higher and sea levels 7 meters higher than Leah Thomas's trophy shelf. Not a good joke, whatever. So, allergic to evidence and reason, climate change tyrant grifters lie. They also cheat, of course, like always, not just with elections. They measure temperature on hot asphalt, measure Antarctic ice sheets during thaw season, the usual. They're liars. But why? As always, power, control, grift, and corruption, with the sinister side hustle of reducing the world population down to nada.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero.
Bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
So here comes the climate change tax to death, literally, enthusiasts, taking another shot at eugenics to save the world by killing everybody. And by the way, the total population of the world at the density, not like KJP dense,
Clearly, I would let
but as a unit of smushiness, I guess, or whatever, would fit in Texas, the world in Texas. Now, nobody wants that. It would smell like Michael Moore's Depends. The point is, eugenics disguised as climate change, eco-Nazism, is, bad. On the way to culling the herd is the regular scam part, fleecing, taxing, and scaring it out of you until you can't even beg for more, which liberals do. Good Lord. Did you know you bought $7 billion worth of EV charging stations and your loving government has produced exactly one? Buttigieg just proudly said it was 7.
But we've been working with each of the 50 states. Every one of them is getting formula dollars to do this work, engaging them in the first handful. Again, by 2030, 500,000 chargers.
Either way, well done. Again, no need to quibble about a few billion on the way to a trillion, zillion, gabillion. It's all a scam. Julian Simonson, a brilliant academic guy who fought the climate change BSers, noted poetically about climate eugenics. What business do I have helping arrange that fewer humans will be born, each of whom might be a Mozart, Michelangelo, or the very handsome Leo DiCaprio flying private to a climate summit? I added that last bit. Anyway, what business do I have? Exactly. But for grifter tyrant losers, it is business, and big business. Size of Whoopi's Buddha Mumu business, it's big. The point, it's big. So to make the Frankenstein green energy monster come to life, an army of liberal losers, science whores eager to get paid and be on the winning team for once, most still can't get a date with non-inflatable girls, were engaged by the power seekers and given carte blanche access to every media whore platform. So, all of them? Along with already bought and paid for losers and whores, which 99% of scientists agree make up 99% of the education system, all joined in noble battle to spread industrial-sized lies and pablum to scare the out of kids and other undeveloped IQs, and weaponize the Save the Planet remedy. Tax and grift and starve everybody, rinse and repeat. Remember, these are liberals running the climate change apocalypse scam, simpleton losers. Even many of the political class of simpleton losers, only there to cash in, are scared of everything.
I told my 9-year-old daughter that I was going to be speaking with you, and I said, what do you think about the climate change? And she said, the earth is on fire, and we're all going to die soon.
You know, when I was little, I used to pretend you weren't my mother.
And ready to succumb to appeals to authority from abject liars and failures at every turn. Plus, they're joining the big leagues, the Save the Planet team, and all they have to do is shriek and wail and lie and cheat and steal to get a trophy. Great. The climate change scientists who couldn't get work in the science field.
You are one pathetic loser.
And the unelected IPCC and UN pretend politicians appointed themselves and charged you for their important first-class trips to Kyoto, Japan, and Paris, France, I think. France. And fired up private jets to head out into sunny skies and sign the Kyoto Protocol and the Paris Accord, while jostling in line for sushi, Dom Perignon, and prostitutes, although not necessarily in that order. Because of media and education system whores and losers, you probably didn't hear about the 19,000 scientists who spoke against the Kyoto Protocol, the collectivist global treaty pledging greenhouse gas reduction, including renowned climate scientist, an actual one, John Coleman, founder of the Weather Channel and a wonderfully learned guy. And also winner of a lawsuit against the producers of An Inconvenient Truth, the movie fantasy pseudoscience posing as fact for exposing the big fat climate changing lies of big fat liar Al Gore.
It's nice to be on CNN. Hello to all your viewers. I resent you calling me a denier. That is a word meant to put me down. I'm a skeptic about climate change, and I want to make it darn clear, Mr. Kenny's not a scientist. I am. He's the CEO of the Weather Channel now. I was the founder of the Weather Channel, not the co-founder.
John Coleman noted concisely, because he was an honorable man and not a science whore, which is a thing, a weird thing, but a thing. He said, climate change is not happening.
Climate change is not happening.
There is no significant man-made global warming now.
No, I'm talking now. Hold on just a minute. I'm not done.
There hasn't been any in the past.
There is no significant man-made global warming now. There hasn't been any in the past, and there's no reason to expect any in the future.
And there's no reason to expect any in the future.
And if you get down to the hard, cold facts,
stating as fact that 97% of scientists agree that climate change is real is classic weaponized jive.
Well, there is no consensus in science. Science isn't a vote. Science is about facts.
And as usual for liberals, a selectively edited, strategically constructed appeal to authority.
There's a whole lot of baloney.
Nice manners, babe.
It has become a big political point of the Democratic Party.
Highly charged emotional hunk of propaganda. More concisely, bull. So the lying libs have been lying about this for almost 100 years, having adeptly and brazenly rebranded global warming, global cooling, global freezing, and the underappreciated the hole in the ozone is bigger than Hillary's pantsuit every time the Earth's temperature went up or down or stayed the same, as it's been doing like clockwork for 5 billion years, give or take. The clever, fear-mongering grifter tyrants, now apparently afraid of commitment to temperature or anything resembling science, seem to have found their ultimate home for the manufactured crisis, the all-encompassing, all-taxing for all living and breathing things, climate change. Climate change, manufactured crisis, is the ultimate weapon of tyrannical tax and control, complementing the COVID manufactured crisis as the evil twins of corruption metastasize in tandem to capture from spleen to sky and body to soul. I don't know. Climate change, an incongruent truth, a much better name than Al Gore's scam movie, which I must admit I believe because I was a child. Anyway, carbon dioxide is not a driver of temperature, but rather a result of dynamic weather patterns and that giant nuclear furnace blasting away at the center of the solar system.
97 degrees the other day.
That's hot.
CO2 is at the lowest in the history of Earth, and we need more. Life eats that stuff up.
Don't just sit there sweating like a gigantic cheese. Do something.
Ow.
Did you know sunspot activity changes the temperature of the Earth, causing warming periods and ice ages like the mini ice age that we just wrapped up? Did you know the Earth has been warmer and greener in the past, and life thrived even more than at present? Did you know the polar ice caps have never been thicker, and those pictures of them melting are manipulated?
Arctic polar bears are facing near extinction by the end of the century.
Antarctica hasn't warmed in the last 70 years, and the ice sheet is actually expanding.
If the sea ice they depend on continues to disappear.
To scarily amplify otherwise naturally occurring seasonal changes.
Well, the polar bears are thriving, as you said. In fact, 50 years ago, there were only 5,000 to 10,000 of these species. Today, there are over 25,000.
Did you know that taking the temperature of a hot asphalt parking lot is another fraudulent thing climate scammers do to scare idiots into thinking the Earth is on fire? You do now.
Duh.
Not that it matters to those busy following the science, but there is zero proof that CO2 has any correlation with temperature. Zero, which science suggests is small. Did you know there weren't any SUVs around when the Earth was toastier than it is today? Did you know that climate scientists are losers?
That's been going on for far too long.
Unemployable academics using models instead of evidence.
It's now infected our entire body politic.
Models do whatever you want them to do, like Leo knows. And the hockey stick enthusiast Michael Mann, not the cool Miami Vice guy, rather a noted climate scam, very litigious loser.
And I hope, once again, that this decision will create a little bit more space now for my fellow scientists to do that.
Which I totally agree with in everything that he says. The only useful climate models are the weather girls on Telemundo. Whoa, mamacita. Just heard about the hottest day on record? Well, hottest day since when? One with a functioning brain might be inclined to ask. The answer, unheard of by libs, is that at peak across geologic time, when the Earth was 5 degrees warmer than today. When Jesus was zipping around the desert, it was 4 degrees cooler than the warmest. And during the Dark Ages, so Vikings enjoyed warm temperatures and sunny outlooks while rampaging. There were 6 great ice ages, the mini one that just wrapped up, so surprise, surprise. It's been warming up a bit since. So geologic time, it's as expansive as the greed and corruption and pantsuits of liberal ruling class tyrants. Lest we forget the long forgotten, consider the ClimateGate emails where the scientific consensus climate change scientists were worried about cooking the climate model data in time for the next Save the Planet conference.
He promised me last year that he would take me to Hawaii to swim with dolphins.
Other important climate data analyzed by these learned minds with disappearing Speedos.
This guy sky sure is ready for summer.
Included questions of whether the weather at the 5-star resort they would be attending was going to continue to get colder, like the uncooperative thermometers kept reporting, and if the place has a martini bar. It's funny too that those loser scientists couldn't even contrive the model data well. It took a few tries to plug in the result desired, tweak to taste, and spit out the ugly, we're all going to die model data. A model uglier than Megan Rapinoe on the cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Ugh. Private jets were again dispatched to 5-star resorts for Davos elite to talk climate change, French champagne, and 5-star prostitutes. When a Zoom link, a bottle of wine, and an OnlyFans account would have done the trick. Even with the extra work programming fake data with a few keystrokes, the benefits packages are a pretty good deal, since the hoi polloi are paying the Paris, Copenhagen, and Kyoto fungible accords, bills, and whatever, for unelected globalist scamster scumbags, minibars, private jets, and whores divorce, and the ones sans the divorce part. I know it's hors d'oeuvres, but the joke doesn't work that way. Ultimately, and more importantly, beyond funding loser scientists, loser science, we rabble are paying the price of untenable green energy costs, already decimating the third world and the middle class's ability to fill up our jets. Did you know 10 times the number of people die from cold versus heat? Warming reduces hurricanes. The same old goes for floods and droughts.
What the hell are you talking about?
All of which are lessening in force and frequency, unlike Michael Moore's bloviations and other bovine flatulence. Speaking of climate bull, did you know that a well-managed grazing production system allows livestock manure containing carbon and nitrogen to re-enter the soil, fostering increased plant growth and sequestering more carbon? Did you ever notice the CO2 generator?
Clearly says.
Look,
chugging away in the corner of every greenhouse that has green stuff thriving inside.
I see what you're trying to do.
Do you know wildfires are decreasing in force and frequency? The few incidents that get out of hand are due to government incompetence managing forestation and eco-terrorist professors' deforestation adept usage of irony-free gasoline to set the world afire.
Professor facing arson charges for setting fires in the area where the Dixie Fire is burning.
The Maui fire was more of a combination of government incompetence facilitating a murderous real estate maneuver.
Maui emergency authorities are defending the decision not to sound sirens during the wildfire's peak.
The money-making strategy taught at my seminar.
Tell them that they're going to be better off if they make a deal.
Do you know Earth is a giant, perpetual, oil-producing life force?
Mother Nature, I didn't know you were so fine on the vine.
Well, there's a lot you don't know.
And the stuff that your gas-powered engines and your coal-powered EVs eat for energy was not actually made from dinosaurs? Do you know oil is the fundamental element and lifeblood of life on Earth, powering the manufacturing of everything we touch, build, and consume, and used to tweet about how we need to get rid of oil on the way to the airport in a Tesla. People have been around for approximately 1 geological second relative to the history of Earth. There's plenty of room and there's plenty of gas. Like Michael Moore's model physique after second lunch, so Malthusian meathead purveyors of doom can go suck a tailpipe. Hashtag irony. Even accepting the premise of a man-made mess of increased atmospheric CO2, bringing increases in temperature and polar bears dancing on their tiptoes atop the last ice cube-sized polar ice cap, which you shouldn't because it's anthropogenic bull. None of their remedies work, except as tax and control, grift and enslave machines, which work great. But before accepting any of the green energy scam, one must dutifully forget, like Jill Biden's wedding ring when she was down-lowing with President Joe, that oil is the common denominator of everything. Just don't tell the vegans screaming at their oily iPhone about the tractors and trucks and tech manufactured and filled their breakfast bowl of cardboard cashew bits or whatever that crap is. Wind and solar supply 3% of the world's energy, as long as you don't discount for the energy blown to produce the unproductiveness of the miraculous feats of stupid. Better, hydro dams are a powerful all-natural supplement to the oil-making machine that is Earth, and a great place for libs to sacrifice themselves to the gods of irony while saving the same Earth from a particularly maddening brand of petulance.
Tonight, activists are turning to a new form of protest to call attention to the climate crisis. Glued themselves beneath an exhibit of Vincent van Gogh's Sunflowers.
That's naughty behaviour.
What is worth more, art or life?
And stupid. Interesting, the best, cleanest, safest, and most efficient energy solution by orders of magnitude is nuclear, or nuclear, as Bush used to know, nuclear.
See, that says fool me once.
George Bush used to say that.
If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
But until the grifter class can force everybody into nuclear Teslas, which would be so cool, and force everyone to forget about Jane Fonda, which would be even cooler, the ATMs are still to be found elsewhere. Fun fact, solar panels are made from oil. Ha! From EVs on the road to nowhere to wind farmageddon for wildlife.
Golden eagles are majestic birds, so what's killing these animals?
The culprit is wind turbines.
And solar panels that power nothing much but the Chinese economy, none of them work.
Still a stupid.
How about some EV BS? Imagine an electric vehicle that gobbles up more energy to produce and operate than 50 gas-powered cars.
Stupid.
Its Goldilocks design runs out of juice when it's too hot or too cold. It takes 2,000 to 7,000% more per unit of energy to deliver green energy cars and windmills and solar panels and
stupid.
Then evil oil and gas, hydro and nuclear to deliver that shiny Tesla to the showroom floor. It takes 1,000% more minerals to deliver the same unit of power needed than a combustible turbine gas machine. Do you see this? The good news is it requires a mere 400% more metals and minerals than the gas-powered limousine with beefed-up suspension, driving big fat liar Al Gore's big fat body to a private jet named Twinkie.
Thank you.
5,000 pounds of materials are required to produce 1,000 pounds of EV battery, plus slaves. When your green team EV does function, it's powered by a battery made of elements gouged from earth-ravaging strip mines, many owned by Chinese and other notorious slaver countries.
Like 50 times I've tried to explain this.
Enemies of America. And of course, taking America down is a bonus.
Somebody wants to build a coal power plant, they can. It's just that it will bankrupt them because they're going to be charged a huge sum for all that greenhouse gas that's being emitted.
You dick!
Maybe even the primary goal. The batteries don't last and never decompose either.
Yes, I see now what you are saying.
Ta-da!
And by the way, electricity comes from coal, natural gas, and you guessed it, if you're not an idiot liberal, oil.
Ta-da!
Before mile 1 of your EV, the magical petroleum-free machine has consumed 25 barrels of oil.
Black gold, Texas tea.
Coal will power it from there. That's funny. Get this. Listen to this. It will take extracting a quantity of materials for the transition from liquids and gases to green energy clean tech, equal or greater than for all the stuff humanity extracts, moves, or grows for all other purposes combined. The greening process will also consume 700 to 7,000 increase in energy transition mining production to produce the green energy revolution stuff. Hundreds of massive earth-scorching mineral mines, plus an even greater increase in child slave labor. The green machine materials costs are going up 300%, so better start saving for that $300,000 earth-saving Tesla. Did you know that it takes 8 barrels of oil to make a combustion car engine, 50 barrels for an EV, and coal makes the electric cars go? Libs don't. Remember those useless climate models? Oddly, green energy economists are not modeling the exponential increases in mining costs when forecasting the exponential increases in green energy production. One wonders if congressional stock portfolio dividends are rising in proportion. Speaking of which, Nancy Pelosi is an investment savant, or it's Paul Pelosi making the uncannily shrewd investments when he's not getting hammered by a creepy, kidnappy dude when Nancy's not home. Look it up. That's a very weird off-label use for a hammer, fellas. But maybe the Pelosi household houses 2 Warren Buffetts, in addition to a very impressive gelato cache. Remember her posing her frozen face in front of her $20,000 freezer filled with, I don't know, $50,000 worth of ice cream or something like that? Billionaire on a couple $100K congressional salary. We hope there's enough left over to unfreeze her face. Hopefully, global warming will help. Discounting the untenable problems caused and exacerbated by the EV battery solution production, those things weigh a ton, or a metric ton. If you want to adopt a ridiculous loser John Kerry's aristocratic pomposity and parrot globalist fancy speak idiocy.
We, select group of human beings, because of whatever touched us at some point in our lives,
when dreaming of filling green energy long-haul trucks delivering rainbows and unicorns,
are able to sit in a room and come together and actually talk about saving the planet.
Those not suffering from liberalism know that it's really about delivering truckloads of tyranny, grift, and cash, washed down with Dom Perignon, while getting a tantric release handy from hefty Al Gore's unfortunate masseuse, like using a crane to whale lift Al Gore and Whoopi onto a flatbed truck. Their regular beds must bow considerably, I would think. Anyway, EV truck batteries are so heavy that Class 8 trucks carrying that weight are not going to go far, if at all, since they'll never be produced. No matter how much tax money you throw at truck batteries, they are limited by unbreakable laws of physics and thermodynamics. Unlike liberal scammers, largest shares of charging stations are owned by ChargePoint and Tesla, California companies located in a state owned by China. And guess what? Battery plants in the U.S. are owned by Chinese communists, enjoying U.S. investment kickbacks from the grifter class, producing useless EV batteries sold to the U.S. virtual signal idiot class. More fun, there are over 8,000 parts to a wind turbine, which are delivered over global supply chains via petroleum-fueled ships, rail, air, and trucks to the assembly factory. Windmills require petroleum every single step of their life cycle.
Who you talking to?
Wind blows seasonally, so for much of the year there isn't much wind, except for Al Gore. When too much wind is blowing for the grid to manage, fall over, and black out, it has to be curtailed or drives electricity prices to zero, driving natural gas and coal and nuclear power plants down for the count. If wind is over 55 miles per hour, the wind turbine also has to shut down for risk of being damaged. The best wind is too high to capture. The majority of the days it's too low to capture. Yeah. Did you know wind turbine costs don't get recouped or even get close to breaking even for 20 years? And windmill life expectancy is 21 years? Check the math. Wind farm installations level thousands of miles of ground, steamrolling plants and animals on the way to producing enough energy to spin the blades. No, when not slicing and dicing wildlife, the monstrous windmills, which tend to burst into flames of irony when finally generating heat, deliver the ultimate irony, as these useless monuments for grift and stupid often require diesel engines to de-ice their broken wings. Did you know the Fish and Wildlife Commission grants a 4,200 annual take limit on bald eagles with each wind turbine application? Total bird deaths from collisions with wind turbines are estimated to be between 140,000 to 330,000, something like that, including thousands of eagles, hawks, and overachieving chickens. Some more telling irony, climate czar John Kerry fought hard for wind turbines not to be installed near his home. In his defense, it's a really nice home, among several, made from extra helpings of the Heinz ketchup fortune generated from marrying well. Those private jets aren't going to power themselves, you know. Funnier still is Kerry's highly affected aristocratic accent after exiting his ketchup queen's wife private jet, whatever. Noted imbecile, liar, and desperate to be 18th century French royalty, Monsieur Kerry said he'd never owned one, flown on one, or seen one on TV. After stepping in another pile of hypocrite excrement, he was forced to brilliantly pivot, changing his story from "we aristocrats need to fly private because we're doing important work, and it's offset by the important work, carbon credits, French pastries, and something snooty and aloofy and dummy." The climate czar and Herman Munster doppelganger once said with a straight and very long face that China is the environmental leader of the world. As always with libs, when driven by hysteria, there's no room for logic or consideration that after raising acres of land and sea to make way for sexy futuristic-looking wind farm site, and before the windmills are busy killing more wildlife while not producing energy net gains, a mildly important problem has to be solved, which is electrifying transportation. How do you deliver 8,000 parts of a wind turbine to the assembly factory and deliver it to the final site? Mine ore and get it to the ore crushing plant, deliver tons of cement to make the wind turbine platform, or truck 100-foot long tower pieces? The heavy-duty cement long-haul trucks and carrying the turbine and cranes lift the pieces into a 300-foot tall turbine run on diesel. Not electrified liberal lies. Piles of dead whales are washing up on coastal wind farm installations. One wonders if increases in anthropogenic noise and electromagnetic fields are deafening and otherwise harming the noble creatures which are ending up beached like the Pritzker family on a Florida weekend. Windmill enthusiasts, scientists, and their investment brokers say there's no connection. Thank God. China manufactures the earth-saving solar panels that are currently not powering anything anywhere around the world at any of their growing army of unregulated coal plants, peppering the landscape and blocking out the sun. Funny stuff. Did you know that the Honorable Associated Press received $8 million to promote climate change? Less funny than these wannabe tyrants pushing you into coal-powered, unaffordable, and remarkably combustible EVs as the West goes bankrupt, funding the lavish lifestyles of the inbred royalty and other low-IQ global citizens. The third world goes dead. So much for developing nations. It's real live eugenics, the stuff of Margaret Sanger and other Nazi enthusiasts like Bill Gates and his meatless murder of barbecues around the world, and homicidal humanitarian dreams of depopulating 7 billion meat bags. That's liberal for people from his planet. Democrat favorite electric bus company enjoyed factory visits from the triumvirate of stupid Biden, Kamala, and Mayor Pete. Yet somehow we lost $8 billion in taxpayer funding and it went bankrupt. Although not as impressive as Obama's $500 million cylinder scam, it was still a pretty good score for the grift machine. Fun fact, the much lauded electric bus fleets need 2 for the price of 2, since schools, municipalities, and Kamala's short bus lot require 2 fleets, with one charging while the other one goes out for a short run, as long as it's not too cold or hot or the batteries haven't exploded. But the double your benefits doesn't stop there. As the ever-inspiring Vice President of the U.S. Department of Stupid noted, the bus has Wi-Fi and even USB outlets next to every seat. I mean, come on. Imagine you could charge your phone. I'm excited about electric school buses. I love electric school buses. I just love them for so many reasons. Maybe because I went to school on a school bus, a short one. Hey, raise your hand if you went to school on a school bus. She said that. She said that excitedly. Because she's an idiot. Kamala. The EV lies are legion for higher educated libs. That means there are a lot of them. For now, the grift and enslaved model that is green energy includes gas-burning cars to complement the taxation by subsidy EV price per mile grift model. So, is it possible that your loving government honestly fights evil big oil to lower gas prices, as we hear screamed across the halls of Congress and the fake Oval Office set up for the Biden puppet show? No. Government gets a percentage piece of the action off the top of gas prices in the form of the usage tax, like tribute to the mob boss for a taste of any score that the capos got away with. That's a mileage tax. And by the way, word on the street is, tax per mile is not a thing? Yes, it is. It's been that way, and it's only getting bigger. Just like shutting off your EV because your social credit score took a hit, our government wants a bigger bite, and something else that will never happen even though it already has. Higher price equals more cash for government. Shutting down U.S. oil production and selling off the strategic oil reserve at a loss. Bonus, strategically useful to cripple U.S. military power because tanks and stuff don't run well on windmills or whatever. Increases prices and pays the grifters more. So, supply and demand for government grifters equals strangling supply and demanding more grift. Beyond government subsidies powering EVs with taxpayer dollars and public servants making a killing with green energy stock purchases, insider trading is a nice legal cutout for Congress too. Government gangsters get to get rich with the traditional pay-to-play model too. Do you want to be awarded the next no-bid contract for the next bridge to nowhere or maybe a couple thousand EV charging stations? Please donate to my campaign and fill a couple of envelopes with some walking around money so I can keep up with the Bernies on my way to Martha's Vineyard. Finally, a funny story about making the Great Barrier Reef great again. A black and white example of the climate change lie can be found with a quick peek below the surface of the lie and surrounding waters. The beautiful and colorful Australian Great Barrier Reef coral, warned super smart climate scientists, was disappearing, and we're all going to die because of it. As it turns out, the naturally vibrant beauty, kind of like me, has never been in better shape. Like Daniel Craig in a rainbow bikini. You probably didn't hear that Mother Nature sent a couple gazillion microbacteria to eat up the infamous British Petroleum, BP, oil spill either. The local ocean ecology is thriving and better than ever, at least until wind farms are installed nearby. The oil disaster site is back to its clean and natural beauty, unlike garbage dump aftermath of liberal eco-warrior parades and other noble demonstrations left in the wake of saving the earth. So yes, we're all going to die if we don't address climate change by firing, ignoring, or at least relentlessly mocking the lying idiots, grifters, and idiot grifters selling the bullshit.
And then cannibals ate him.